There's some questions in life that only you can answer. For example, which is better, chicken or turkey? Pie or cake? And as a Genesis rep for the 2023 model year, one of the most asked questions I get is, what is the difference between a GV80 4-cylinder and a GV80 6-cylinder if they both have the Prestige package? Well, thanks to questions from viewers like you. Actually, shout out to Mike on this one. Mike, I'm gonna do my best to show you the differences between the 4 and 6-cylinder Genesis GV80 Prestige for the 2023 model year. So, without further ado, let's talk about it. When Genesis released the GV80 out onto the public roads, it quickly outsold every other Genesis model within the same year. The GV80 was an instant hit for the luxury brand, and in 2023, they continue strong with a lot of options and standard features and bang for your buck. And this is where we're going to start, the 4-cylinder GV80 Prestige. Now I'm going to go over some notable things that the GV80 brings, then talk about exclusively what upgrades you get with the Prestige, and then we're going to move on to the V6. But biggest thing is the engine, and this has the 2.5 liter turbo giving you 300 horsepower. So yes, do not fret my pet. If you need to move, put the hammer down and you are off. Oh, and by the way, guys, I really am a sales consultant here in Orlando, so if you happen to live local and want the hookup on this or any other Genesis, or Hyundai for that matter, make sure you click the link in the description below that says schedule with Miguel. That way I can guarantee that once you get here, you'll be getting me. And remember, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you get me, I'm gonna do my best to give you the most amount of money I possibly can. But let's go ahead and get back to the Genesis. Now, I'm sure at this point in the video, there is at least one person screaming at this video saying, no, he's wrong. Those are 20-inch rims. 20-inch rims do not come on the Prestige. And if it was a 2022, you'd be right. But in the year 2023, whether you go Prestige 4-cylinder or Prestige V6, you have your option. Get the 22-inch rims that they show in all the publications, or if you want a little bit more supple of a ride, go ahead, grab the 20-inch rims on whichever Prestige you like. Now, here's something I always have to bring up. This is not exclusive to the Prestige package in the 4 or 6 cylinders, but it is so cool. I always make it a point to mention this, and it is Genesis Remote Smart Parking Assist, meaning that once you go ahead and use your fancy key to turn on the car, you actually hold the forward or hold the backward button, and then the car will actually start to move in that direction. So if you're pulling it out of the garage or just trying to impress your friends during lunch break, you definitely can. Now, some might say, oh, Hyundais can go forward and backwards. Yes, but they cannot park themselves, at least not yet. And this thing can. You could reverse park, you could parallel park, and the best thing is that you don't actually have to be sat inside, unlike other Highline vehicles. If it's a confined parking space, get out of the car while you have room, have the car park itself, and don't have to worry about sucking in that guts or dinging the doors of this beautiful machine right behind me, because you don't want to ding up your doors. But if you like comfort, if you like convenience, and if you like tech, Remote Smart Parking Assist on the Genesis GV80, forget about it. Another great thing that you get when you go Prestige is the driver's seat. Not that the other packages don't have it, but you have a few more functions, because as you can see here, the Prestige package is the first level to actually bring the leg extended driver's seat. So everybody's built a little differently. If you need a little bit more support, the leg extender is there to help. And that's not to mention the ergo motion button, because this button really does help the circulation of blood, especially on long trips, because when you push it, it can activate the lower half of the seat, the upper half of the seat, or both at the same time. That way, if you're going on a long trip, you'll feel more rejuvenated because of the stretching sensation you'll feel in the car. Oh, absolutely amazing. It boggles my mind how many cool things Genesis can actually offer and think of, and that one's a keeper. This next thing is something I personally love, because it's something that I personally don't even have on my Genesis, and that is the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. So the speedometer, the tachometer, all that stuff is one big computer screen instead of half analog and half digital. So when I put on the blinkers of my car, the left-hand side and the right-hand side are on the same screen. But when you get the full digital cluster, you actually have the left-hand side view on the left side of the screen and the right-hand side view on the right side of the screen. Just having that seamlessness in the car with the big screen, absolutely amazing. Now, another bonus that you get is actually the electronically controlled suspension, so the car can actually adapt to the driving conditions of the road in front of it. Another difference in the Prestige package is called Tri-Zone Climate Control. Don't you hate driving around and you're either too cold or the passengers are either too hot and somebody's complaining about something? Well, with Tri-Zone Climate Control, driver, front passenger, and rear passenger could actually be at their own preferred temperature. Absolutely lovely, and nobody has to fight on those long road trips anymore. Well, at least not about the air conditioning, because that is absolutely lovely. Now, speaking of Tri-Zone Climate Control, you also do have in the rear heated seats, and in the front you also have the heated and ventilated seats, which is not exclusive to the Prestige, but it is a definite game changer when it comes to just the right amount of comfort on your long trips, or even if you're going from work to home or home to work. Heated and ventilated seats are absolutely amazing. Those are most of the cool things that you actually get in the GV80 Prestige, but if you actually want to know more about the V6 trim levels anyway, all you have to do is click this little video right here, and I go over the 2023 models of the GV80 with the V6 engine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. V6 Prestige. Let's go. And this, everybody, is the V6 GV80 Prestige. If I just didn't tell you that, could you really tell the difference? The answer is yes, but it's not what you think, because from the outside, it is exactly the same with one glaring difference. This is not just a white GV80. This is a matte white GV80. And from Genesis in the year 2023, the only way to get the matte colored vehicles is to go with the V6 Prestige. So if it's a matte white or matte gray from the factory, you can bet that it's a V6. Another phenomenal thing with the V6 Prestige is that it has soft closed doors. What does that mean? Well, have you ever closed the door of your car but it didn't fully latch, so you had to do a little booty bump swing to go ahead and close it? Well, with the GV80 Prestige in the V6, you actually do have the soft closed door. So if it would happen to not latch, well, no worries. The car will take over and fully latch the door for you. So that way, if you put a little too much spice in your bump, you don't have to worry about bending any sheet metal. Trust me, I know. Going on back to the 4-cylinder Prestige, you notice that if you hit these little buttons in the back, the rear seats actually fling forward. Now, really cool if you're loading some stuff, but not when you're loading some people, because you still have to go to the side. It's a manual seat. You still have to lift it up manually. But when you go with the V6 Prestige, it is actually electric. So if the seat is down, just go ahead, hit the button on the side, and it will go ahead and power straight up. If it's up and you want it to power down, push the button and it'll power straight down. And speaking of the rear seats, not only do they sit up and fold down electrically, but it's just like the front seat, because you do have this right here. Just like the front seats, if you want to go forward, just push the thing forward and forward it slides. If you want it to go backwards, pull it backwards and it slides right back. And again, if you need to go ahead and fold the seat down, push the big circle button and down it'll fold. I absolutely love that feature in the Prestige package. It's finally feeling like the upper crust type of a car. Now, talking about that fancy upper crust, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, or more like the leather in the car, because the 4-cylinder brings leather in the Prestige, but once you go big boy with the V6, you actually do have the quilted Napa leather all throughout the interior, and it looks and feels oh so good. By the way, this is the Dune interior, absolutely my favorite. So, oh, by the way, Frances, shout out to you. She was the first one who actually got a GV80 for me. Special place in my heart. So Francis, thank you so much. But going back to the car, another difference that you get with the V6 Prestige is that not only do you have the heated seats in the rear row, you also do have the cooling seats in the rear row. And that is another difference that you get when you actually decide to upgrade with those few extra cylinders. Another upgrade they made is actually with the headliner. Going back to the 4-cylinder, you see that the headliner is this nice looking melange headliner, pretty standard throughout the industry. But when you actually upgrade to the Prestige V6, you actually have the suede headliner in the car that really ties together that upper crust feel of the car, looking oh so good. And if you're in the back, bonus vanity mirrors, which is another difference, very slight, but it is the attention to detail that Genesis has been paying in the entire line that really start to pay dividends, especially if you and your friends are going to paint the town red. Now, I probably told you I have 10 favorite things, but this next one is another favorite of mine, and that is the rear sunshade, because both Prestiges, 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder, have the rear sunshades, and in the 4-cylinder, they're manual. But when you upgrade to this baby, you also do have the electric sunshade. So that way all you have to do is lift up the window switch and voila. And then whenever you're done, hit the window switch down, you are back to reality, enjoying the scene. So yeah, rear powered sunshades in the Prestige V6. And so guys, those were some of the biggest differences between the 4-cylinder and the 6-cylinder Genesis GV80 Prestige models. And no, I didn't talk about every single little detail of the car because it would take way too long and I'm too fun for that. But if you like these videos, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. And make sure you hit the little bell notification to be alerted the second the newest videos is uploaded. So until next time, I'm the Your Car Guy, and I'll see you soon. This video is actually inspired by a guy named Mike. Very cool, Mike. It was great to meet you. He actually watched my videos, came in, asked for me. Thank God, because most people say, hey, you're the guy, and then buy a car from somebody else. So Mike, you are the man. Being that we're at the... And now that we're actually entering the car from the rear. Now, if I may direct your attention to the headliner, because as opposed to the